Have you ever felt or heard that subtle voice inside of you whisper, leave the relationship, walk away from the job that's been draining you, speak the truth that you've been holding back, create the thing that you've been postponing? This is a voice that we all hear and feel. It might be a tightening in the chest, knots in the belly, or even just a knowing that we can't quite explain. But oftentimes, we ignore it, we override it, we rationalize it, we analyze it. And then that discomfort ultimately grows into anxiety. And if we still don't listen, that anxiety then takes us into a place of disconnection, depression, burnout, emptiness. And if we still don't listen, then life has no choice but to intervene. It might come in the form of a breakup, a sudden loss, an illness, an injury. Any of these things, all of these things are catalysts and initiations to ultimately wake us up, to get our attention, for us to finally begin listening to our soul. So the question becomes, do you listen to the initial whispers, or do you wait for the breakdown? And in this video, I'm going to dive deep into why it's so important to listen to your soul, to look at the collective field right now and all of what I call the soul sickness happening around the planet, and how the energy in this very moment, at this very time, is here to help us rise, to help us grow, and ultimately to evolve into our most aligned and authentic selves. Yet the choice lies in each and every one of us to either listen or ignore that call. So let's dive in. There have been many moments along my path and my journey that I've also experienced this. And sometimes I've listened and sometimes I have not. And the times that I have not, well, that's when I paid the price in a way, and where life ultimately had to slow me down to reflect and to come back within myself. Now, my journey of awakening, just like yours and everybody else's, we all have these unconventional things and ways in which this journey manifests. And for me, it started really back in 2008, but really began to ramp up around 2012. And at that time, I was working in the corporate world for a tech firm. I had just finished my master's degree in business leadership, and I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was becoming a company trainer, and things were very much looking up at that point for me and someone in my mid 20s at that time, making the money that I made, having the certain luxuries that I had, all of the things that appeared to be beautiful and great on the outside. But something within me just was not right. I did not feel a resonance with this path that I followed for so long. And, having listened to society and to, parents, teachers, all of these things that said, this is the safe path, this is the way. Go to school, get the job, get married, have the family, all the things that we are essentially brainwashed into doing since we are a young age. And there was, at this moment of my life, a lot of anxiety showing up, that I knew that if I were to continue down this path, would I live comfortably? Sure, I would live very comfortably. But I knew deep down in myself that I wasn't here to live comfortably. I was here to challenge myself, to meet my edges, to lean into fear. And yet it was hard for me to move. And at times it felt paralyzing. Yet life had other plans. And so one day, driving home from my job, and after praying on this and intending for some clarity to come through, I saw a billboard on the road, and that billboard said, "Are you ready to answer the call?" Very, very direct. And in the bottom right-hand corner, it said, "Sponsored by the Peace Corps." And so at that moment, I didn't know what the Peace Corps was, but I went home, I went online, and I found out that the Peace Corps was this American governmental volunteer organization where people go for 2 years, 27 months, and serve in other countries and build relationships with the people and support them through various projects in agriculture, business, speaking English, all of these different things. And something really intrigued me about this because I felt that it would fulfill my values of helping others, of making a difference, of traveling, of adventure, all the things that I really valued inside of myself. And so I applied and went through a very rigorous mental, emotional, physical process to actually get to the point where I received a letter a year later that said, you have been selected to join Peace Corps Tanzania, and you leave in 6 months, and you have basically 7 days to decide. And of course, in that moment, my system was flooded with excitement, but also lots of fear, lots of anxiousness. And I knew ultimately that if I didn't do this, I would regret it. And so I told my friends and family that I was going to accept this gig and I would be leaving several months later, flying halfway across the world from my hometown of Buffalo, New York to Tanzania, Africa, where I would end up living in the villages with the people and the community for 2 years of my life, speaking Swahili, living with no electricity, modern amenities, running water, and having to really live in this primal way, connected to nature, cooking over a fire. And that in itself will ultimately change you. It will shift you, it will transform you, it will mold you into someone completely new. And that's what happened over those 2 years. I had so much time to really sit with myself, to be in this place of reflection through writing, through reading, through yoga, through meditation, and how much I learned from the people there and the community and the way in which they lived. And all of these things were massive catalysts for me. Now, yes, I may have taken a very different road than many take, but we all have our own unique journey. We all have our unique ways of embarking on our own hero's journey and this awakening journey. And for me, that was the start. But over the years, as I continue to grow and as I continue to heal, and as I continue to go within myself, there were many different marker points for me in the different initiations that I ended up, coming to through my own inward path. And a lot of the times it wasn't easy. There were many things that I was faced with, moving and going into a place of burnout after working 12, 14 hours a day on my own business and having to face myself and my nervous system patterns that were still jacked up and not feeling safe, to falling into a deep 3 to 4 week depression, many, many different dark nights, and ultimately leading me into a dark room experience where I sat in there for 5 days. No, nothing, just me and myself. All of these different experiences, working with plant medicine, really for one clear intention: to connect deeper to who I am and to my soul. But there's been many breakdowns along the way that have essentially forced me into these moments in which I had no choice but to really sit with myself and with my soul, with the divine. And this is so important because the soul is always going to whisper before it finally screams, and that you don't have a choice. So I find that it's better to ultimately lean into that discomfort because, the ego ultimately is going to put up the guards. It's going to put up the shields, and it's going to say, this is too risky, because the ego likes its comfort and its 3D trappings because it's somewhat secure. But we all know that external security is just an illusion, that there's actually no thing. You can have all the money in the world, you can have the best house in the best neighborhood, the nicest car, but all of these things, they're ultimately one day going to fade away because everything in the external is temporary. But this is why the practice of coming inside of yourself and taking moments to breathe, to slow down, to connect with yourself in this meaningful way, and to ultimately create that baseline of safety, security, coherence, harmony, balance within yourself. Because if you don't feel that peace within, then you're certainly not going to ever feel it outside of yourself. And again, everything that I share, everything that I teach, it's all a testament of my own journey and the path that I've had to forge and go through. And the path that I've had to ultimately walk for me to have these specific and certain realizations that I'm speaking to right now. But, underneath all of it, life is benevolent and life is always going to be stewarding us. There is a higher intelligence at play. Call it God, call it Great Spirit, call it Source, call it Creator, call it what you want. But there is a divine, benevolent intelligence that is playing a role in moving us into our true north, our destiny, our mission, because everybody, including yourself, came here with a specific mission that you came here to ultimately fulfill. And you fulfill that through following your joy. You fulfill that by using your natural born gifts. You do that by going inward within yourself to build the capacity to be able to, and build the safety to be able to really share, express, and be of service to the whole. And this is all of us. There is nobody above one another, that we all came here with a very unique mission encoded within our DNA. And that's a big part of my, my journey of supporting and empowering and helping others, is really helping you to identify and discover what that is, and then actually implement that and take action on that. Because the more people that are living in alignment with their true design, with their higher purpose, this is going to ultimately create that new paradigm that we all desire. But we first must listen to the whispers underneath it all. We first must listen to our soul that is speaking through us. And so, a beautiful question that I would encourage you and invite you to ask yourself is this: is what is my soul trying to tell me in this moment? What does my soul need me to know? What truth is emerging through me? All of these questions are things that you can ask yourself every day. You might not receive the direct answer right away, but I would recommend getting a pen and paper and just asking yourself that question and just writing whatever comes through, like an automatic writing exercise. And the way you distinguish your soul versus your ego or any other voice is that your soul is always going to speak from a place of compassion, kindness, benevolence, love. It may be a little edgy. It might be like, all right, it's time, right? It's time to move into what it is you came here to do, and most importantly, came here to be. But it's always going to speak from that positive lens. Whereas the ego and perhaps other voices that may come into the picture, they might be negative. And so anytime you hear that positive, loving, encouraging, empowering voice, that is your soul. And so my recommendation is to sit every day and take the next 3 to 4 weeks and just ask yourself these questions. What is seeking to emerge through me? What is my soul trying to tell me in this moment? What does my soul need me to know right now? Any of these questions work. And just pause. Breathe. And listen. And I can promise you that there's going to be some beautiful insights, clarity, realizations that may stream through you. And then it's up to you to take that inspired action and to have enough courage and build that up within you to finally break free from the boxes that you've put yourself in. Because we all are our own worst enemy. And it is up to all of us to break free from all of that conditioning and programming that we have believed to be ours, to tune into our core values, to what is true for us, and ultimately shed the identities, the falsehood, the illusion that we've been living in for so long, and to listen to that voice of love, that voice of our soul, which will steward us to exactly where we need to be in our highest timeline. So that is my ultimate message today of what really wanted to drop in and come through. And I hope that you enjoyed this message. And if you did, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with, a friend or family member. And if you want to go deeper with me, if you want to journey with me and a bunch of incredible souls on their journey of self-mastery, of awakening, of spiritual growth, then you can join me inside of my community, the Mastery Collective on School. It's an incredible community. We work with many different tools, practices, systems like the Gene Keys, breath work, somatic healing, and coaching, all of these things that are available to transform our lives from the inside out. And I would be so delighted for you to be in there and for me to support you in this way and for you to meet some amazing people from around the world. So if you feel the call, you can join for free. All you got to do is go right below this video, click on the link, and I will see you on the inside. Sending you all the love and positive energy. Peace.